Telling it like it is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance, and we're a purpose before profit company that love giving back and love sharing our knowledge. So please reach out. Our website will be in the comments section shortly. Also, I want to talk about what's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. We do um, an office hours with Osler in partnership with them. And the next one is going to be next Tuesday from 10 to 1. Just sign up. The email's scrolling across there. It'll be in the comments section. And of course, we're there to, talk about anything, whether it be sales, which we'll dive into today, or mental health, or your people plan, or anything at all. It's open, it's free. Come on and get some advice. I just want to give a quick shout out to somebody here that, we helped with Peer Guidance and help them grow across Canada and grow their sales. And they made a big announcement here this week. Karma Campervans, I'm repping the old thing. David Wald, congrats on opening up your 7th location across Canada in the Toronto area. Check them out. I'll put their website up here. But of course, for those you don't know, Megan's his wife. She works at a platform, so they're a great. Congratulations on that. But now I want to dive into some great. I'm a sales guy, so I love it. I'm so pumped about this. It's not only probably my favorite logo in the entire world, and I've asked Taylor a few times, I need a shirt when you make them. But I'm pumped to talk about this today. Taylor, how are you?
Yeah, good. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, with you being a seasoned vet here, this is just old news being on another podcast, another live show, hey?
Yeah, I know. We were talking before. It's the whole rundown and everything, but I feel like it's nice when you have people on that have done it before, so you can just roll with the flow.
Oh, well, why don't you talk just, before we go, tell us a little bit about your podcast and what you do.
Yeah, so I have a weekly podcast, or at least try to do it weekly. Definitely not on the ball as much as you are with this and the many things that you do. But I have a podcast called SDR Handbook. I'm sure we'll get into some things today around like sales development reps and what they do at B2B SaaS companies and whatnot. But really just like a podcast that goes into the intricacies of being an SDR and something that when I had first started to be in that position, because I'm an avid listener of podcasts, I felt like was missing in the world of podcasts. So we just made this, one place where I sit down with SDRs or SDR managers or sometimes VPs of sales development and just really dive into the nitty gritty instead of it just always, being about what account executives do on the bottom funnel of the sales cycle and allow an SDR to really feel like they can walk away with vital information that they can start using the next day instead of when they get a promotion. So yeah, we do that. And then we do some lives with Quack here and there. We did one a while back that did pretty well that when we dove into cold calling and whatnot. But um, yeah, I want to do more of those in the future for sure, like this.
Oh, I love them. I love all podcasts, and anytime someone's out there sharing their knowledge, telling the stories, especially sales. Sales, some people just aren't comfortable doing it. But I want to kind of die. I dropped out of university. I made my living as a salesperson. I found my calling. It's been, very rewarding for me, not all, just across all aspects of my life. And it's a topic that's very, very close to my heart. And I'm very critical of founders at times because it is the heartbeat of a company. It is something that you need. It is the one capital that you can control and bring in more. So, why don't you tell me a little bit where before we get into the Quack, where did your passion for sales come from?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like I feel like I came into it um not really as passionate as others were or felt like I would be even good at it. My first sort of hooray into it was when I was I'm in Calgary right now, but I used to live in Vancouver. And when I was there, I went to a school called BCIT. And while there, during the summer in between my 2 school years there, I was in the entrepreneurship option. And I thought, hey, well, if I'm going to be in this option, why don't I try and start my own business? So I tried to start a digital marketing little agency thing. And during that summer, instead of taking a role somewhere, with whether that be a company or anything in general. A lot of students will take certain intern roles or whatnot. I thought, hey, why don't I try and sell digital marketing services to companies instead? And um, kind of there realized I could sell. I could speak to people. I did get the company to about $3,000 a month during the summer, but then when I went back to school, I was like, yeah, I can't do both. And I wasn't that passionate anymore about it by the end of the summer when it came to digital marketing and dealing with those type of customers. And so, yeah, it was kind of my first foray into it, and like realizing I could sell and I can get someone to purchase a product from me. Um, and then later on, kind of marrying, my love for tech and sales, and then got into more of the tech world later on, where I kind of got my first job with Clue as an SDR, and that's where I realized, oh, I really can do this, and I can overachieve at it as well. So
So when you say you can do it, did I mean like I know I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what I
yeah.
want. I mean, I was in university. I was like, I don't know. I'm just wasting money here, right? Paying tuition. Like, was yours as simple as mine? I got it. I found it. I loved it, and it was like this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. Or was yours kind of like, you're gonna grow into it and became to love it.
I think it was pretty quick, just like you. I think in the first month and a half of me really getting my first sort of sales role to a degree, um, I really realized that I do love this. I think at first it wasn't in the tech space, it was doing like digital marketing stuff. It was then working for, I worked briefly for a company that sold like wrapping cars and helping cars, make sure that they look nice and whatnot. And I just didn't fit in with those. But once I got into the tech space, I
Yeah.
really realized like, okay, it's not about the fact that I don't love sales or that I'm not good at it. It was just I was never in the right arena to be able to do it. And so once I got into tech sales, I really was like I enjoyed it so much. One, it allowed me to bring back my competitiveness from playing like lacrosse as a kid and whatnot. Just because you do compete to a degree with your other, sales reps, whether that's hitting quota quicker or whether that's spiffs and whatnot. But then also, it was figuring out that I wasn't trying to convince people to sell or buy this thing. It was now being able to come from a consulting sort of standpoint and really feel like I'm helping someone, better their business or better their life in general. And so that's when I started fell in love with it and realized I wasn't, gonna be a sleazy car salesman or something like that. I was gonna actually be able to help people and whatnot. And I viewed it from that standpoint. Now that I do view it from that standpoint, it's so much easier for at least me to wrap my head around it than it was before when I first started trying it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody still uses a term used car salesman, right? Type,
Yeah.
type thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I
The
would
slick
probably
back
hire
hair.
any of them. They're hardworking.
Yeah.
They know how to
Yeah,
sell.
yeah.
They're,
That's
they're go-getters. I mean, they should be
yeah.
actually at the top, not at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So, I always, I truly believe that a lot of great companies I have seen have come from doing something, whether it's in their company or whatever. So let's talk about, at what point when you were out there and selling and being a rep and doing it, did you say, hey, I've got this idea. Like how can I make this more efficient? How did the idea for Quack evolve?
Yeah, that really came from when I was at, Clue. I found that a lot of my leads and the qualified opportunities that I brought in were really from the phones. And I loved cold calling. I used to never think I would, but as much as cold calling isn't fun to do, I'm not like I love cold calling because I can convert on it, but it's not
Yeah.
something that I'd say is like the most fun to get told to f off every other phone call or something like that. But uh, all of my leads were coming in from there, and I found, hey, how can I do this more even efficiently? Like, how can it not take me hours on end to get to the number that I'm getting to? How do I get to this quicker? Like, there has to be a way by now. And I think this comes back to, like, being someone at heart that wanted to have his own business. I actually thought at the time my go-to wasn't, can I build a business around this, or how can could you do this more efficiently? I thought it had already been done before. There had to be someone doing it already out there. And so we went and looked into it and came across the idea around parallel dialing. And after looking into it, realizing that it cost too much to bring on to the team, it wasn't feasible even myself to purchase it personally. And it really just was a hard decision from an SMB standpoint because at the time, Clue was under 200 employees. They still were a relatively bigger company, but it was still smaller in terms of tech world. Um, and so we just weren't able to bring it on. And um, from then, having looked into other services that are out there, realizing what they were focused on as companies, we just said, my co-founder Jake, we were both on the same team at Clue. We just said, hey, you know what? Let's build this for SMBs. Maybe they feel the same way, and go out and actually build it. Um, and so that's where the original sort of inspiration came from it. Really just wanted to be more efficient on the phones. All our leads were coming from the phones, and just not wanting to, spend hours on day having to block off 4 hours a day to do cold calling every day. And not really either get to other activities that you'd love to do or work towards, even trying to get a promotion down the line. Like, you can't work 10 hours a day for a whole year. If you're someone that doesn't aspire to have a business or wants to work that much, not everyone does, and expect to then also find time to, work towards getting a promotion, training for that, learning the things that are necessary. Like, it's just too much. And so we wanted to make it easier.
No, I love it. And I would love to talk about how the, how the technology, how it
Yeah.
works, and dive into that for our listeners. And again, if anybody wants more information, just click on quackdials.com. It's in the comment section. You'll get some more information on that. So just, you can talk about, any company that you worked with, or you want to say, this is what Pure Guidance would do to help and grow their sales. So please just walk through the process of how it works.
Yeah. So I'll say just like the normal B2B SaaS company may have SDRs, let's say. And a typical SDR is going to be making, let's say 50 dials a day, takes them a few hours, 3 hours, let's say. But what they're doing right now is they're going to call their prospects one by one by one. So you're going to call someone, get to voicemail, takes 30, 45 seconds. Then you're going to have to update the CRM, it takes a minute or two. And then you're going to make your next call. So the typical dial is taking about 2.5 minutes to get through for an SDR, or sales development rep. And so where we come into play and why it's much more efficient to call from Quack is we come in and say, hey, we're going to do parallel dialing. So instead of you calling one by one by one, you're actually going to call multiple prospects at the same time. So let's take 3, for example, to make it simple. You're going to call Joe, John, and Jack all at the same time instead of after each other. And with that, we're going to connect you to the first person that answers the phone. No two people can pick up at the same time, so you don't have to worry about that. And then we're going to update the CRM for John and Jack, let's say, automatically for you, so you don't have to do that admin work. And now you're just connected to that one prospect that answered the phone. And so what we do is we bring that normal dial amount of time from 2.5 minutes down to about 15 seconds with Quack, making you a lot more efficient as an SDR, spend less time having to dial. And now you have more time back in your day to either do more strategic work. Maybe you want to send more emails. Maybe you want to work towards, getting a promotion as an account executive. So from the SDR standpoint, super helpful tool. And then from a manager standpoint, you're going to have more top of funnel. You're going to hit your quota a lot easier with your team, and help build revenue once those leads reach the bottom of the funnel. So really simple. If someone's listening and still maybe is like confused or wants to learn a bit more, obviously you can come to our website. But the main term being parallel dialing is really what we've dived into, and what the tool is built around, this parallel dialing idea. And so you can see that on our website. There's a simple video that walks through the product live for you.
So, I mean, obviously you and I have had many conversations, so I'm going to ask some dumb questions here. So, so we'll just say, what happens if two people, answer at the same time? Like, like all of a sudden, I pick up and, Joe picks up, and like, does it hang up on somebody, or how does it, how does it feel that, especially with the call display type things of the world, is it going to, like, Jade Alberts called and then he hung up on me?
Yeah. So we get this question like every day. The
I
notes,
know,
yeah,
I
yeah. No, no, it's a perfectly fine question to ask, and that's why we get it every day.
know.
And so let's say someone's calling you, and then someone else. Once, if you were to pick up Jade, we would then end that other call. So yes, someone will see a missed call on their end, but the thing is, they were either going to see a missed call anyways, or whatnot. But at the end point being, they will see a missed call. But the great thing is now you're actually speaking to you and hopefully have the opportunity to book that meeting with them. So
Yeah, and I mean, it's a missed call, and I mean, I know it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine, and you're probably gonna, you're probably gonna call back at some point anyway for to
yeah.
talk to that person. So, how many more calls can a person? You said it takes X amount of minutes to do one, and this speeds it up. And the CRM. Let's talk about efficiencies. Like, how many more calls and what have you seen with some of the companies that you've worked with? You don't have to tell us who they are if you don't want, but on some of the benefits and how they've been able to increase their not only their productivity from an SDR point, but also their revenue.
Yeah, so we have one company that we started working with that within the first 2 weeks, because they did a few things, which is, so if you're a company and you look at this and you say, okay, we're doing 50 calls, if we want to use the parallel dialer, we're going to get through these dials quicker or whatever the case is. But if you don't add more call tasks to your day, you're never going to see extra, even more results. What you're going to do is you're going to see the same results just in way less time. So if you don't add call tasks, you stay to those 50 calls, you're going to just, instead of it taking 3 hours to get to the same results, it's going to take you 20 minutes, which is great if you want to do other things and not call more. But if you're a company like most companies that we work with and say, great, you have 50 calls normally you want to make, let's at least double that. Let's get you to 100 calls on average per day that you're making. Where you're going to see more conversations just based off of the law of average within sales. We all know that if you have more people that you call, you're going to book more meetings in general. It just is going to happen naturally, whether it's that day or just over time. You're going to see that number go up because you're contacting more people. And so that's what we usually do. We work with the company, add more call tasks, and then they'll see a growth. And so a lot of the companies within the first 2, 3 weeks, they'll start booking, more meetings. Maybe that's the best amount of meetings they've booked ever, which is, some of the case with a lot of the companies that we work with. Or it's just on average, you're taking someone who, books 5 meetings a week to 8, let's say, within those first things as they're getting more comfortable with the tool. And then over time, once you build a better system around it, you can book even more meetings. You want to get better prospects in, or you dial even more prospects, whatever the case is. So it really is up to the companies that we work with and say, hey, what's your strategy? We work with them, understand it a little bit, and then show them, hey, this is what these companies have done. Whether that's adding more prospects or doing the same, and being able to get through calls quicker. So yeah, that's usually what they see. But our goal is always to make their process better than what it was before using Quack. If their process isn't better when using Quack, then it's kind of a waste. Like, why are you even using the tool? Like, yeah, we're not going to make claims that, we can do XYZ better. But, at the end of the day, if it doesn't, then, why is someone paying for it? And so that's kind of what we try and strive for, and make sure that the customer always has a good experience and sees some sort of results, whether it's the results they were looking for or even other great results that impact the company in some type of way.
Again, I'm talking with Taylor, one of the founders of Quack. Quackdials.com is their website. Check it out on the in the comment section. Also, scrolling across the bottom is the our Osler office hours. Click to sign out to get some free advice and free help. So, do you find? I mean, we can always say that everybody can use this. Anybody that's doing any sales, any SDR. But are there any industries that you have found or that have worked particularly well, or you just maybe a little too early to say we haven't got into all industry yet?
Yeah, we definitely are going to all industry. We've definitely identified a few markets outside of the one that we're in right now that we could get into based on people coming inbound and finding us and wanting to use the tool, but we either don't have their integrations or whatnot. The one that we're focused on right now is really B2B SaaS. Um, And that comes from the fact that, like, me and Jake, one of my co-founders, we were in B2B SaaS space before. We understand those SDR needs, and we know that there's a want for a tool like this, especially in the SMB space of B2B SaaS. And so really right now we're catered towards them. You see that from our integrations. We're integrated with Outreach and SalesLoft, mainly used by B2B SaaS companies. And then soon to be doing our integration with HubSpot, which will widen our market a little bit. We may see companies outside of B2B SaaS use us. We're definitely open to it. We're not saying like, hey, they can't. But at the end of the day, we're really focused on that SMB, under 500 employee, B2B SaaS company. And then in the future, hopefully going to spread out and kind of, the main goal being with Quack is to kind of reimagine the dialer for every salesperson. And so, that, not every salesperson is in B2B SaaS. You have other salespeople in real estate or insurance or even recruiters to the end of to a degree are salespeople. And so being able to help other markets out is one of our goals as well. And we already have people that are interested in us already in those type of markets. And so, yeah.
And I know you say under 500 employees, but I mean, we have a lot of earlier stage companies, and let's just talk about Alberta for now. Like, how, is it feasible for them to use it? How early of a company can start integrating Quack into their sales program?
Yeah, I mean, happy to work with any company. I think it really depends on their needs. Like if they are finding, hey, we're going to do a ton of cold calls. We need to pick up the phone because at the end of the day, we don't provide data on these people. We don't give you phone numbers and stuff right now. We do want to do stuff like that in the future. But there's a certain tech stack that most companies will have before even using Quack, and that maybe having outreach sales loft or HubSpot in the future, having some sort of data provider, whether it's Apollo, Zoom Info, any of those. And then those are the main two that you would need, and then you could be using us. And so if the company has those and wants to really up their game when it comes to making cold calls, and or even warm calls, maybe you have a huge lead list that you can't get through, and it takes a lot of time, which is a blessing to have if you have it. And so you can use Quack. One thing that we're going to be heavily doing, I think, in the near future is anyone that lives in Alberta or even in Calgary that goes to Platform Calgary and knows the big banner that they have that has all the companies on it that they put at every event. We're going to be really heavily going out to those companies to really work, because one thing I'd love to be able to do is actually go in, and if they have an office and they have salespeople there, I'd love to like see them use the product firsthand. And so that's something that we're going to be doing in the future, especially with our HubSpot integration, which I'm sure most people that are on that company list may use over an outreach or sales loft. So yeah, definitely would love to see the impact on newer stage companies or earlier stage companies, and see how we can affect them, because that would be a great story to be able to show is like, hey, this company is able to compete with their enterprise or much larger competitor that's raised $200 million. But since they have our tool, they're able to get to more prospects quicker, better their sales process a lot quicker because they're having more conversations, and work through that. And so that's something definitely we want to be able to do, whether that's through our integrations or maybe we need CSV in the future or whatnot. So
Oh man, I got so many questions.
yeah,
I mean, I guess I kind of view it. You may maybe agree or disagree with me, but if I'm a founder and a co-founder, and we're starting to grow a little bit and seeing some traction and see some revenue, but it's expensive to hire somebody. It's also risky to hire somebody, spending X amount of three, four, five, $6,000 a month to hire a sales rep, and then hoping that they can go out there and do it. Is there a way to say that, what, Quack would be better for the co-founders to understand it, to get in there, to do it before they actually, make that first hire, to hand it off to an actual rep?
yeah. I mean, if they have I was about to say if they have the time, but if they're using Quack, they would have the time, and that would give them back that time in order to do it. I mean, we use it here at Quack, and so if we're not our own sort of test pilot to that, we use that. So yeah, I think a founder should. I mean, before you even hand it off, you should understand better what your sales process is like, as a
I
company in
agree.
general. And if you want to get to that quicker, I would say be able to use Quack to be able to get more conversations in earlier, get through that motion a lot of years, because it takes time to like understand your sales cycle. Like it's not an easy feat. Like even the one that you're as a founder you build and you create does not mean that once you hire someone that in a year it still looks the same. Like it's always going to evolve and change based on as you're getting bigger as a company and whatnot. And so yeah, I think something we would love to be able to do in the future is work with those earlier stage companies to, really affect their revenue. Because like revenue is key at the end of the day. Like you
Yeah.
can raise, $1 billion and still not be growing as a company and doing well. But if you can show the numbers that people are buying you, that's what we are looking to help do. So yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
do that for startups.
No, I love that. I mean, and again, I'm a big fan of the founder understanding exactly how a process works. So, when a rep does come in or they do hire somebody to do it, they get it, they understand it, they know the process, won't get fleeced, like a sales rep won't be able
Yeah,
to, bullshit them, so to say. But yeah, and to your other point, I mean, you can make 100 calls on, to VCs or angels and get zero. You can make 100 calls to customers and get, 50K in sales. So I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things as where do you
that's
want to
true.
raise where do you want to raise your capital from? And this is one that you can
Yeah.
control. So I do love that. And obviously I'm a big fan of it. So I guess, as you grow and as you're moving forward here, what's next for Quack?
Yeah, I think it's really just, I mean, growing our revenue is like one of the biggest things. We are doing a raise, so if anyone out there is interested or knows any investors, happy to chat. But at the end of the day, really just growing our customer base. Like, one thing that we love to do is be able to bring on more customers. We can't complain, and so really just growing our customer base, growing our user base, and making adjustments to the product as needed. We have a few things that are on the roadmap right now. But in the future, a lot of those things always have to do with what our customers are telling us, or and to a degree, you listen to prospects, you hear what they're either mentioning they would love to have or whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's making those adjustments that customers are looking for and really making the product better. So that's one of the biggest things, and we're expanding the team over the next bit too, to really help grow the company. There's a lot to do here, and we have tons of things to do that are always on the plate. I'm sure, like any any startup, at the end of the day, you could not sleep for 5 days and still have things to do. But yeah, we plan on hopefully bringing on some members to help with things that get missed due to time constraints. Yeah, I'd say that's kind of what we're up to.
No, I love it. I'm excited to watch what you guys are going to do. Again, for anybody looking for information, click on quackdials.com. It's in the comments section. It'll take you directly to the website. And as Taylor said, there's a nice little video there that you can check out. I'm always sad when our conversations come to an end, because I mean, I is so close to my heart and I love sales, and I asked the same question, but I'm actually going to put a little bit of a spin on it for you. It's just so that maybe you rehearsed an answer. I don't know. Some people do, some people don't. But as I go here, sometimes like I kind of want to put a spin on this. So Taylor, if you had one piece of advice for a founder, startup, entrepreneur getting going, I want that to be a sales piece of advice. What would that be?
Okay. Sales piece of advice.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think the biggest thing is like like just don't do anything until you talk to customers. Like, don't be assumptive about your product, about what you're doing, what your vision is, and everything. Like, you can have those, but it really has to do with like what the customers are saying. Like, obviously, there's things that you may think and assume for the customer and build and they love that they never even asked for. But the majority of things are usually things that they're asking for. You're not always going to be able to make that assumption and it be right. So really just like always be trying to meet with customers. Like if you could meet with a customer or prospect every single day throughout you building the company from 0 to 100 million in revenue, I would say that that would be more than like that would be exactly what you would need to do. And that's something that I would always want to be doing, no matter what the case is, because there's so much to learn. And so I think always be, meeting with potential customers. Like, don't be afraid to get in front of them. If you're an engineer trying to build a business, you're going to have to learn sales. You're going to have to get in front of people. You're going to have people that reject you or think your product is stupid. And you're going to have people that think it's amazing. And you just need to be open to that. And so, always getting in front of it, you're going to learn everything you need to from that. You're going to learn rejection. You're going to learn how to talk to people. You're going to learn how to talk about your product better. You're going to learn how to demo better. You're going to learn how to sell better. All just comes from just sitting in front of customers or potential customers and talking to them and just really just talking to humans at the end of the day is big. So that's something that we try and do, and I think is what I'd do in any startup I'm doing, or just in general in life. So yeah.
I love it. And I mean, that's just perfect advice, right? I mean, the people that we work with, we actually go on sales calls with them. I still love it, right? Myself, Mo, Kyle, Pete, we're there. We're going on sales calls. We're helping them. We're making them understand, what questions they should ask. Take notes during your sales call. Like as a rep, my
Yeah.
entire life, I would like, hey, do you guys mind if I take notes, right? Like they're like, oh yeah, no problem at all, right? I don't want to forget anything. I don't want to miss anything. I want to know what they ask back because that's probably information that they're not getting off my website or any of the promotional stuff I'm putting out there. So I love it. The more you talk, the more knowledge you'll gain, and that'll just make you, a more efficient salesman, saleswoman, and it'll make you better and more successful.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. Totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, again, Taylor, I really appreciate you coming on. I've been a fan of yourself and Quack and again, the my world's favorite logo. So it's, I'm looking forward to watching your journey here, and we're always here to help, and I know that you're going to be helping many, 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 companies moving forward here as you start to grow and they start to use your products. So, thanks again. Again, anybody want more information? Just go to quackdials.com. It's in the comment section. If you need some help, click on the website. Call us, so we'll meet you at office hours, or even just go for a coffee. And yeah, I mean, thanks for coming on, sharing your knowledge, and I'm excited to watch what you do in the next year or two.
Appreciate it. Loved coming on, and yeah, I think if anyone's, I think Pure Guidance is really doing some awesome things, and you're obviously partnering with some great people too. So shows. So yeah,
Well, I mean, I thank you. I mean, we try, right? Like, I mean, there are, the one thing we have about about Alberta is there's lots of people out there. There's great accelerators. You're going through, the 500 right now, and then Shaheel and Kristina are absolutely great mentors. And I mean, people that are walking around, that were walking around in ventures or walking around uniting the prairies. There's always someone to help. There's always someone to, to share an ear, lend advice. And that's what makes Alberta so unique.
yeah,
Well, I hope everybody enjoys their Wednesday. I am going to be off for the next, I think, 3 or so weeks. I got a tournament softball tournament in Vancouver, and then Spokane, and then we're hosting a trade mission. So I will miss all of you, but I will be back in July. So again, Taylor, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, and I hope everybody has a great Wednesday, and we will chat soon. Take care.